जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी जय गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा वनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी जय गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा वनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय राधा रस बिहारी राधा रस बिहारी राधे जय जगन्नाथ बलदेव मैया सुभद्रा जय जगन्नाथ बलदेव मैया सुभद्रा जय गौरनिताय 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 जय गौरनिताय जय सीताराम लक्ष्मण भक्त हनुमान जय सीताराम लक्ष्मण भक्त हनुमान जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय गुरुदेव 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 जय जय गुरुदेव। जय ओम श्रीपाद परमहंस जी का आचार्य स्तोत्र सतश्री श्रीमद भक्ति स्वरूप दामोदर स्वामी श्रीपाद गुरु महाराज की जय। जय ओम श्रीपाद परमहंस जी का आचार्य स्तोत्र सतश्री श्रीमद अभय शरणारविंद भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी श्री गुरुपाद की जय। जय ओम श्रीपाद परमहंस जी का आचार्य स्तोत्र सतश्री श्रीमद भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज श्री गुरुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्री प्रसादी गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंद राधा कुंड गिरी गोवर्धन की जय। श्री वृंदावन धाम की जय। श्री मथुरा धाम की जय। श्री द्वारका धाम की जय। पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय। गवर्नमेंट नवदीप मायापुर धाम की जय। गंगा मई यमुना मई की जय। भक्ति देवी तुलसी महारानी की जय। Samaveda Bhaktavedanta ki jai, Nitai Gaur Pramanande, Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories, all glories, all glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga, all Goshen Guru. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naranchaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayet. Nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevayam bhagavati uttama shloke bhakti bhavati naistiki nigamakalpataror galitam phalam sukhamukadamrutadruva samyutam Pibata Bhagavatam Rasamalayam Muhuraho Rasika Bhuvi Bhavukaha Muhuraho Rasika Bhuvi Bhavukaha. So the translation of this goes like this. O expert and thoughtful men, relish Srimad Bhagavatam, the mature fruit of the desired tree of Vedic literature. It emanated from the lips of Sri Sukadeva Goswami. Therefore, this fruit has become even more tasteful, although its nectarian juice was already relishable for all, including liberated souls. Thank you very much. I welcome everyone to this ongoing Bhagavatam class, and today's text is reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 18, text 15, 16, 17, and 18. I think many of these shlokas do not have a purport. So we all depend on Srila Prabhupada's purport always to speak whatever, otherwise what qualification I have rather. I can't even think properly. But anyhow, praying to the lotus feet of Guru Maharaj and Prabhupada, I'll try to present some of the collected thoughts for these four shlokas. So shloka number 15. Hridashya Damanir Bharya Sutavatapim Milvalam Yo Agastasyaya Twatitaye Teche Vatapim Ilvala. Translation. The wife of Halada was named Damani. She gave birth to two sons named Vatapi and Ilvala. When Agastya Muni became Ilvala's guest, Ilvala served him a feast by cooking Vatapi, who was in the shape of a ram. Hanuridayastasya Suryayam Bhaskolo Mahishastata Virochanastu Prahradir Devyam Tasya Bhavatbali. The wife of Anulada was named Surya. She gave birth to two sons named Bhaskala and Mahisha. Prahlada had one son, Virochana, whose wife gave birth to Bali Maharaja. Text 17. Banajestam putra shatam Ashanayam tato abhavat Tasyanubhavam sushlokyam paschat eva vidashyate. Thereafter, Bali Maharaj begot 100 sons in the womb of Asana. Of these 100 sons, King Bana was the eldest. The activities of Bali Maharaj, which are very laudable, will be described later in the 8th canto. Text 18. Banaradya girisham lebe tadgana mukyata yat parshva bhagavanaste iyadyapi pura palakah. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation: Since King Bana was a great worshipper of Lord Shiva, he became one of the Lord Shiva's most celebrated associates. Even now, Lord Shiva protects King Bana's capital and always stands beside him. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Sarupa Damodara Swami Tinamine Namasad Bhaktamanaye Manipurudbhavesha Prabhupadala Satvani Pracharanirtayate Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Tinamine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunnavadi Pachati Desatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay. The first translation, the wife of Halada, in the previous sloka, it was discussed that Kayadu, the wife of Hiranyakashipu, gave birth to 4 sons. That is Samalada, Anulada, Halada, and Prahlada. So the lineage is being described here. Those who want to know, yesterday Prabhuji gave a wonderful family tree of the whole descendants of Aditi. And even the descendants of Aditi is also given in the summary of this chapter 18. Those who are interested can, I try to prepare something, but it will be difficult to project it because it's very big, So those who are interested in knowing the lineage, the family tree, starting from Kashyapu Muni, Aditi, how many children Aditi had and how many grandchildren she had, like all those things are given in the summary. Now we'll focus on this, and as we move on, we'll understand more and more better instead of giving everything in one go. So the text 15 says, the wife of Halada was named Damani. She gave birth to 2 sons named Vatapi and Ilvala. So let us try to discuss something on these 2 characters, Vatapi and Ilvala. This Vatapi and Ilvala were 2 brothers, and they had some special powers. One, Ilvala had a power to bring back to life anything that is dead. And Vatapi had a special power to change his form to anything. Okay, he can become anything, anytime. So it happened so that once Ilvala, sometime in the earlier stages of his life, he wanted a son like Indra. See, he went to a Rishi and asked him that I want a son like Indra, so he blessed me accordingly, give me a boon like that. But knowing this character of Ilvala, the Rishi refused to give that boon. Therefore, he became very angry, and since then, he started troubling all the rishis. So what they used to, they came out with a plan, both the brothers, they came out with a plan that they used to invite the rishis, invite them for dinner or whatever it is. And that time, this Vatapi, he will take the form of a ram and he will be cooked and it will be fed to the rishis. So when that happened, immediately after they eat, when they're about to leave, that time Ilvala will call, oh Vatapi, come. So immediately Vatapi will come out piercing through the stomach of this Rishi. And he will die, the Rishi will die. So this is how they used to have fun. They killed many Rishis like this. So it was going on for a long time. And one day, the Agastya Muni passed through this their house, and they wanted to play the same trick with Agastya Muni also. So they also invited Agastya Muni, but Agastya Muni is a great sage. He is glorified in all among Vaishnavas, among Shaktas, among even Shaivites. So he is a great Muni, and he knew what is going on in the mind of Ilvala. So he went to his house, and same thing happened. He had taken the form of a ram, and he was cut and cooked and fed to Agastya Muni. Now, after eating that, as usual, he called, "Oh Ilvala, oh Vatapi, come out." By the time Agastya Muni, what he did, he put his hand in his stomach. Vatapi jiranamastu. He said, Vatapi, get digested. So he got digested. So Ilvala is shouting, Vatapi, Baharao, kahan se aayenge? Where he is going to come? He is already. So he says, no, Vatapi cannot come. He has left his body, he got digested. So he got very angry, Ilvala, and he takes his trident and goes to kill Agastya Muni. And Agastya Muni just opens his eyes and spits fire through his eyes and makes him into ashes. So this is the story that is told somewhere, but I think the story is being narrated by Lord Ramchandra to Lakshmana, retold. In Valmiki Ramayanam, I think it is there. So why this people behave that way? I mean, demoniac people, because their nature is such. And if you have to get why they behave, what is the point, killing these brahmanas? Because he got angry. So anger takes one person to any extent. And this is an example here. And it's also an example here that all your tantras goes nothing in front of mantras. Okay. So this is another lesson we get here. Now, there are two questions that arises here. One is, Agastya Muni, being a Brahmana, how did he consume that? So for that I was searching how these things happen, how the rishis were fed like this. But one reference I could get is that reference in the sense, this is my thought. It could be because of the in Bhagavad Gita, it is said in, I think, 3.13, Yajna Sistaniha Santo Muchyante Sarva Kilbishai Bunjate Tetva Agam Papa Ye Papanti Atma Karanat. The devotees of the Supreme Lord, or the persons who are in Krishna consciousness, are all called Santas. And they are always in love with the Lord, as it is described in Brahma Samhita, Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena, Santas Sadaiva Hridayeshu Vilokayanti. The Santas, being always in a compact of love with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Govinda, or Mukunda, or Krishna, cannot accept anything without first offering it to the Supreme Person. So therefore, such devotees always perform yajnas in different modes of devotional service, such as Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Archanam, etc. And these performances of yajnas keep them always aloof from kinds of contamination of sinful association in the material world. So I thought this could be one of the relevant point here, that if some question arises in our mind, how they could consume that. So whatever they take, they offer it as, they take it as prasadam. It's already first offered to the Supreme Lord. So because they're always in the always thinking about the Lord, basically, in the mood of devotional service to the Lord. So in that way, whatever they consume, it will be definitely offered as an bhoga to the Lord and then consumed as prasadam. So they don't get contaminated. Now, why Ilvala and Vatapi behave the way they behave? Some references from Bhagavad Gita chapter 16, which talks about the demoniac qualities, divine and demoniac qualities. So in this it is said, those who are demoniac do not know what is to be done and what is not to be done. Neither cleanliness nor proper behavior nor truth is found in them. It goes on further. They say that this world is unreal, with no foundation, no God in control. They say it is produced of sex desire and has no cause other than lust. Following such conclusions, the demoniac, who are lost to themselves and who have no intelligence, engage in unbeneficial, horrible works meant to destroy the world. So this also is a kind of destruction only. When the saintly people are destroyed from the world, what will happen to the world? It's as good as destroying the world. Taking shelter of insatiable lust. The lust need not be only related to women. Lust could be anything, desire, deep desire. And absorbed in the conceit of pride and false prestige, the demoniac, thus illusioned, are always sworn to unclean work, attracted by the impermanent. They believe that to gratify the senses is the prime necessity of human civilization. Here also, if you see these two characters, just they are having fun without knowing the consequences. Okay. So thus, until the end of life, their anxiety is immeasurable, bound by a network of hundreds of thousands of desires and absorbed in lust and anger. And you can see here, that is what it is. The anger has taken over. Okay. So that is about, I thought I'll add some points about Shloka 15. Now let us move to Shloka 16. The wife of Anulada was named Surya. She gave birth to two sons named Bhaskala and Mahisha. I think this Mahisha should be the Mahisha Asura. We have heard the story of Mahishasura, the buffalo demon, okay, in the form of a buffalo. Prahlad had one son, Virochana, whose wife gave birth to Bali Maharaj. Okay. So Virochana's wife was Devamba, and they gave birth to Virochana and Bali Maharaj. Virochana and Devamba gave birth to Bali Maharaj. Text 17. Thereafter, Bali Maharaj begot 100 sons in the womb of Asana. Of these 100 sons, King Bana was the eldest. The activities of Bali Maharaj, which are very laudable, will be described later in the 8th canto. So here one more character or Asura's name is mentioned, that is Bana, the same Banasura. Okay. Since King Bana was a great worshipper of Lord Shiva, he became one of Lord Shiva's most celebrated associates. Even now, Lord Shiva protects King Bana's capital and always stands beside him. So this King Banasura, will try to discuss some stories related to King Banasura. That this Banasura was very powerful asura, and he did tapasya, meditated upon Lord Shiva, and Lord Shiva was easily pleased, as we all know. He is Ashutosh. He is easily pleased, and he gives him a boon. And he also asked Shiva should always protect him. He should be always takes his side whenever he is in danger. Okay. So, and this Banasura had 1,000 arms. He was having 1,000 arms, and he used to play mridanga with the 1,000 arms when this Rudra Tandava used to happen. So the Lord gave Banasura a boon and later requested Shiva to be his protector always. So after that, Banasura became very invincible. He became very strong, okay, very powerful. And the time passed. As the time passed, he even became more powerful and cruel. He had a daughter called Usha. Very beautiful daughter, Usha. And many people came to ask for the hand of Usha. So he used to get worked up because he considered he is the greatest, and his daughter should be married to someone very great. Okay. So he used to lock her up. Okay. So during that time, she was very morose, but one day Usha had a dream. In the dream, she saw a very handsome, very handsome young man, and she fell in love with that handsome young man. And Usha had a friend, her name was Chitralekha, and Chitralekha was the daughter of the minister in the court of King Bana. Now she had some special powers, Chitralekha. So when Usha narrated this story, dream to Chitralekha, then Chitralekha, she wanted to draw that picture of that person whom she dreamt about. So what she does, the most beautiful men in the universe, she started drawing their pictures. Gandharvas, and Maharajas can say who were the most handsome, beautiful men in the universe. So Gandharvas and such people, Indraloka, people from Indraloka. Okay. So she went on drawing. She said, no, not this, not this, not this, not this. Then she came to the earthly planet. Then when she came to the earthly planet, she started drawing people from a different clan. Okay. Then she went on saying, no, not this, not this, not this. Then she came to the Yadava clan and she drew Krishna. When she drew Krishna, she kind of, yeah, it looks somewhat like him, but not him. This is not him whom I saw in my dream. Then she draws Pradyumna's picture, who's a son of Lord Krishna. Then she says, he looks like my father-in-law, somehow she gets the thing. Looks, yeah, exactly like him, but again, not him. Then she draws, what is this, Pradyumna's son's name? Aniruddha. When she draws Aniruddha's picture, then she starts blushing. This is the person. Yeah, wonderful. So she saw in a dream Aniruddha and fell in love with. Now the Chitralaika, now with her power, she kind of kidnaps Aniruddha and brings him to Usha. And they stay in the room. And Banasura comes to know about this. And he gets very angry. Very, very angry. This, when he becomes angry, then he tries to fight with Aniruddha. But Aniruddha, he also fights valiantly and he defeats them. Then Banasura, using his powers granted by Lord Shiva, which was again told by Vishnu to grant him that power, he bound him with snakes. Banasura binds him with snakes and imprisoned him also. Now, Narada entered the scene. Okay. Entered the scene, he informs Krishna that such and such thing has happened. Your grandson is, imprisoned by Banasura. You have to do something about it. So then Krishna, along with Pradyumna, Satyaki, and other great generals of the army, they go and seize that place, which is called Sonitpura. Okay, from all sides. So then Banasura also attacks Krishna's army with equal might, but he began to feel powerless in front of Lord Krishna. So he invokes Lord Shiva to take his side. He requests Lord Shiva to take his side, and Shiva also comes along with his son Kartikeya. And there is a huge battle, great battle between these two parties. One side Lord Shiva, one side Lord Krishna, and Banasura on the Shiva side, and that creates, it went on for days, and it is said that it created typhoons and whirlwinds, and people could not stay on the ground. It was like that. Finally, what Krishna does is, he puts Shiva to sleep. Because Shiva says, this war is not going to end. Let us bring some end to this war. So, Lord Krishna puts Shiva to sleep using some astra called Jurumnastra. Okay. So soon after Shiva falls to sleep, the Yadava forces destroys the Asura forces. Then, seeing that, Bana summoned this mother-like presiding deity who came as Kotara or Kothari, a nude woman with disheveled hair, and fought with Krishna. Meanwhile, Bana fled away, and Shiva regained his consciousness. Now Shiva has the duty to now fight for Bana. So he summons his Globulin assistant, Trisira, Jwara, and Krishna successfully defeated him, all of them. Again, Bana returns to the battlefield. Then Krishna summoned the blazing Sudarshan Chakra and cut Bana's hands one by one, like chopping off the branches of the tree. As a last resort, Banasura pleaded to Lord Shiva for life. Okay. Then Shiva rose and went to Krishna and asked for forgiveness. Is to forgive his devotee, that is Banasura, and Krishna gladly accepted that. Then Krishna's grandson Aniruddha gets married to Bana's daughter Usha, and thus the war ends. And it was a happy ending. Now, they gave birth to Vajra, who is the grandson of Pradyumna, and the great grandson of Krishna and Rukmini. Okay. Then Banasura again does tapasya, then he gets some special power, and again he gets into problem. Then that's how Shakti again comes. Bhagavati, in the form of Bhagavati, that is another story. So this is a story about Banasura. Now, what we find here, the very important point is, all these asuras, or the characters mentioned here, they get some special powers. They are granted some special powers. But unfortunately, these powers are misused. And that happens because of the misuse of their free will. So we all are given with some special power. What is the special power? All of us have one special power, that is this human form of life. And this human form of life is the vehicle for us to take the flight and go back home, back to Godhead. See, there is a difference between other living entities and us. Other living entities are like vehicles that move on the ground. But we are like the vehicle that moves on the ground for some time but takes off. That is an aircraft. I come from aviation background, so I thought, this could bring in some relevance here. That, see, if somebody is given a pilot license, and that pilot, what he does, he takes a plane and keeps moving on the tarmac, the taxiway. The runway also, he keeps taxiing. It doesn't take off. Then what will happen? He will be called by the DGCA, who is the regulating authority. He says, what is this, Baba? You are supposed to take off, but you are only moving on the ground. So I cancel your license. You are fit to be a driver, not a pilot. Okay. So you are given a driver's license, go back into the lower yonis. So similarly here also, when we have this special power to take off, and if you don't use kripana palahetavaha, if you are miser and we do not use this special power, then the regulatory authority, Mother Nature, material nature, she will, next life, she will say, okay, Baba, you are not fit to be a pilot. You take this license. You do how much ever you want. You go on the ground only. So we'll get down into the lower forms of life. So this also, here also, if you see, it is the use of free will. The free will that is given to us should be used in the right way. And if it is misused, then we also kind of become like a mini asura. We are all mini asuras who are not using the special powers granted to us by the Supreme Personality of Godhead through the material nature. Okay. So, this material nature will bind ourselves to stay in this place, but the same material nature can help us to get out of this world and go back to our original home, back to Godhead. So, talking about the free will, I would like to bring some points here, which is mentioned by Guru Maharaj Srila Sripad. I would read it so that it becomes original. We have the right to use our free will in the right way or in a wrong way. And that principle is also a property or quality of life. One of the very fundamental quality of life, we know that, the fundamental quality of life is what? To love and to serve. But here it is said that free will is also one of the fundamental quality of life. So this differentiates between matter and life also, the free will. Matter doesn't have free will. You throw a stone, it follows a trajectory, it follows a path, based on how much force you are using, what kind of friction is there in the air, all those things. But when you leave the bird has a total free will to follow a parabolic path or a straight path or whatever way. Okay, you cannot really calculate the trajectory of a bird. So that's the difference between life and matter. So this Guru Maharaj says that this principle is also a property or quality of life, especially in the human form of life. Free will is not much discussed in science, although there is some vague conception. They say modern science doesn't accept the existence of free will. But on the other hand, every scientist thinks that he or she has some free will. Okay. So, this free will plays a major role in all of us, particularly in the human form of life. Now, Guru Maharaj says further, this propagation is the, okay. When he is giving basically a class in Switzerland, he is talking about all these aspects, various aspects I mentioned last class also. This Sripad in Switzerland book is a very, very instructive book. It is a nectar of instruction for us, for the disciples of Srila Sripad. I would say that way, because he has given everything in that. Now, this free will, he also says, should be used to propagate Krishna consciousness. This propagation is for the benefit of entire living beings or jivas who are struggling and suffering in this material world. Lord is so merciful that he wanted to deliver the suffering jivas. Unless love of God is understood by devotional service, the living entities will be attracted by the lower modes of material nature. We will fall down in our consciousness, will be attracted towards the lower modes of material nature. We will be in the mode of passion and ignorance and controlled by anger, lust and greed, and will become a small demon. Okay, so we should be very, very careful in exercising our free will, and that is very much in our hand. Very much in our hand, yes, but that also should not get into our head. The moment you think that you can control these things, yes, I will use my free will in the right direction. That intention is good, But along with that, you need the mercy of the spiritual master also, the sadhu also, the pure devotee also, Lord Krishna. So when you have the mercy of the Guru and Krishna, and if you have the endeavor, like for any activities, the 5 things are required, right? What are the 5 things? The doer, the field of activities, Paramatma, the place, and the endeavor. Okay. So when all these 5 things plays their respective roles, then only an activity can be performed. So we should always remember that by my own endeavor alone, I cannot achieve anything. I need the support of all these things, especially Paramatma. Okay. And Paramatma is none other than our spiritual master who comes, who's just out of causeless mercy, he comes out to hold us hold our hand, guide us. Otherwise, we'll be wandering in this material world, birth after birth, birth after birth. So I end here. Jai Srila Sripad Guru Maharaj ki jai. If you have any questions or comments, please, I welcome. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Yeah, thank you for your wonderful class. Yeah, so if anyone is having any question, they can raise the hand and ask His Grace Mother Krishna Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji, there are no questions. We may conclude.
Okay, thank you. Srila Sripad Guru Maharaj ki jai.
Jai.
Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Jai.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
His Grace Mother Krishna Prabhu ki jai. Thank you all for joining. See you all in tomorrow's class. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.